Hello everyone, so I decided to make a video about Slormancer because I haven't seen a guide about how to make a very broken build that can easily clear all the game. So far I only seen builds that are honestly struggling on very basic issues and they don't have the DPS or the survivability that is needed for endgame. But this game actually has loads of very broken builds that can easily be achieved and they don't need special gear or anything really. For example, this build can clear literally everything that the game has offered. This is about as broken as a build can get. This can pretty much never die, and this can clear the hardest difficulty that has absolutely no business to do. So this is a 100 level battlefield. There is no point doing this. This is just for demonstration purposes. This is absolutely ridiculous. You will never need this DPS or survivability in the actual game in the other part. You just for fun can increase the difficulty until 400 from 10. 10 is where you should farm and do all your things. This gives nothing extra. This is just a challenge. And to show this build, let's see how this build does the highest possible difficulty here, which is, by the way, not the actual hardest challenge. That would be the forge. In the forge, if you are clicking on things that increases HP especially, it can easily reach levels I've seen 20 billion HP obelisks, and I had to clear them, and this build can easily do even that. But for demonstration, this is a 100 battlefield. Let's see how we do. So as you can see, visual clarity is a bit of an issue, and that mob had 400 million HP, and the average mob in this difficulty has around 30 to 60 million HP. And you can see that while most builds would clean a 0 level battlefield on this speed, even likely not in this speed because I put a lot of movement speed on this, I directly removed DPS from this build to put movement speed on it, because as you can tell, DPS is not needed. We have everything from the DPS wise that we will ever need. We have usually around 300,000 shield, and if the fight gets tricky, then it can get up to 1 million, and highest I've seen was 2 million if I remember correctly. The funny thing about this build is as the stronger the opponent gets, the stronger the build gets. So you scale with your opponent and you can pretty much never die or have any problem and in any part of the game. I clear the forge while standing still next to the doors to clear it faster. This makes it possible to clear one forge at maximum difficulty while clicking literally whatever I want in 30 minutes usually. So this is what this build does. I will now explain how this build actually functions and give you some idea that what else you can do and how you can approach this build. This build is very easy to put together, but the level of gear that you need is to have enough cash and currency to modify normal, magic, and rare stats. And sometimes, like, you will need 1 or 2 epic stats, but I will explain how you roll them and it gets exponentially more expensive to do so. So to start with, it's pretty much costs no money and currency to roll your base stats to be whatever you want to be. And for your defense stats, your magic stats will cost a bit of money, but like when you are leveling, you will still have plenty of it. So you can make sure that your magic stats is whatever you will need for leveling up. Your rare stats will cost a bit more, but still very manageable. What will cost a lot of money is to roll your epic stats. But if you only care about one of them out of the three, then it doesn't cost that much because you will roll three at one time. And even though there is a lot of options to roll, because you roll by three, you will need like 10 or 15 rolls to get at worst the stat that you actually care for. And this build doesn't need that much stat. What I have now is a fairly optimized version of the build, but this isn't like super optimized. Like you can see that I screwed up with leveling up these two, so these are level 14 just, and it's really hard to get them to 15. These are still not leveled. I haven't decided what to put in here, and I don't have any of the fancy warlord whatever builds that you can put on those. I haven't farmed it to the point. I actually haven't farmed that much on this character at all, and you don't need to. This is very easy to get compared to what our other streamers try to achieve. They will need a lot of perfectly rolled gear to achieve an actual normal build, and for a normal build you will need, I think, like 10 or 20 million DPS to feel good at the end of the game. And with a build that can put out 10-20 million, you will do just fine. You don't need this DPS. This is ridiculous. This is not needed. But to explain this build, this revolves around, most builds will revolve around Reapers, and this is revolving around the Holy Reaper that will use your shield globes. And what this Reaper does is it allows you in the primordial stage to use your life leech to gain shield. And your maximum life is 1, which sounds bad, but this is actually a benefit for us. We want this. This is very good for us. So what this will do for us is we will get a lot of shield, and the more DPS we have, the more shield we will life leech, and this will make it to like hundreds of thousands of holy shield. And we can use this holy shield with this legendary ring effect. This gives your primary skill additional damage based on your light shield. So if you have 2 of these, then 60% or 65 in this case of your light shield will be added as an additional damage to your primary skill. As you can see, this the only reason why I'm using the arrow shot as a primary skill here is because it's the fastest way to deliver damage to the entire screen for the huntress. I will be testing it with the mage because maybe the mage has an even easier setup, but as you can see, the hunter is very fast with this. And you can use this, and this isn't a requirement. You can, if you like rain of arrows for some reason, or stab, you can use it with stab, with rain of arrows, with whatever you want. Now that you can see that we get from damage we get the shield, and from the shield we will get the damage. So this is a self-scaling, almost infinite loop that will get to some pretty ridiculous points if we can, if we want to. But this also means that we have other places, because we don't need to worry about the damage. We can use pretty much everything else to set up our defenses properly, except two places. This is needed for the build, so you need at least one of this ring to start the build. And I will heavily suggest another, a defensive epic that is way too broken. I don't know why it's in the game. This needs to be nerfed because it's ridiculous. This legendary helmet will, if you are defeated, then for 10 seconds you will be immune to defeat, and it only has a 60-second cooldown. This is just in case something bad happens to you and by some goddamn reason you will get one shot. This doesn't allow it to happen. So there is one bug that is supposed to be annoying about this build. As you can see, I don't have any light shield right now. And if I go into battlefield, I am in one shot range because I have 1 HP, literally, and no holy shield at all. Now, because I have so much damage, this isn't a problem, because literally if I just use it once, I will get the holy shield that is needed. And it never happened to me that I'm one-shotted in the beginning, but it's a possibility we can prepare for, because we have this legendary that takes care of this one problem that we have. So if we go back here, there are other defenses that are even more broken and makes us literally impossible to one shot, two shot, whatever shot. One of them is this: whenever you are dealt damage, it cannot exceed your HP damage, which is 1. This being the equal sum of your max life and shield. Now, because I have only 1 HP, this means that this will be always 30% of my shield. But if you notice how this shield works, it isn't a fixed number. So it's not like I have 10k shield and I can have 3k out of the 10k shield. It's always a max number. So if something hit me, it will take 1/3 of my shield. The second hit will take a third of that. Even if I have only 100 shield, the next hit will at max will damage me for 33 damage. And the next one will be like 22, to the point where it's only 1. And you will need to take a couple of hundreds of hits all at once to die, because otherwise your holy shield will keep up. And you don't need to attack meanwhile, because otherwise you will get your shield back up again and you won't die again. So this already makes you invulnerable with the light shield method. This means you, if you are using this 1 HP method, you are impossible to kill, pretty much. You can also make it even less scary, and this isn't actually for defense, this is for your DPS. Because if you use these boots, that is excellent for defense for everyone. This makes it, if you take any damage that is exceeding 2.5% of your max life, which is 1 in our case, then the damage will be dealt in a 10-second damage over time instead of all at once. What this means is that whatever hits us, at worst, it will be 30% of our holy shield, but it will be a 10-second dot, so it will be like a 3% of our current shield as a dot ticking But since we get more damage from the holy shield that we get up, this will be negated by just the natural flow of the game. You won't even notice if something hit you. But you can choose literally every point of your defense to be evasion. And this means that you will have in-game with the huntress around 80 something% chance to dodge when you have your arrow shut up. Which means you will almost never be hit again, because not only you will be able to dodge, but naturally the game doesn't actually hit you all that often. So you don't need to dodge that much to actually not to get any damage. And you have another broken item that is pretty much can be used by anyone to become semi-invulnerable, is this cape. This cape makes it that every second you will give an avoidance stack up to 100, and it will give you 1% chance to evade. And criticals and ancients, whatever these strikes, will give you more stacks. Since we do flat damage, we can easily crit and do the ancestral strikes to do this damage. And because we hit hundreds of times every second, this means that there is about a 0.5 second, maybe 0.3 usually, where something hit me, I dodged it, and you don't need to reach 100 to dodge with this. This will be added to your natural dodge. So if I reach like 20 in this, which means like 4 ancestral strike, then you are already at the dodge cap, and the next hit you will dodge again because you are already at 100% dodge. These two stats are absolutely meaningless, as we don't care about them. And that's pretty much it. This isn't needed at all. This is just for flexing to get even more evasion. This is just not needed at all at the build. What is really good for DPS though, and it's a really strong unique, is this 5 additional projectile that you can use for your arrow shot. Not only 5 extra arrow that you fire out, which is a lot more coverage, but it's a benefit for us that it will fire randomly in every direction except for your first arrow. So if you see, the first arrow always goes where my mouse is, but everything else goes around me, which means that I will cover the entire screen with arrows when I move. And these two are just DPS increase, and this is my life leech. You can either get this as a life leech source, or you can craft life leech on your bracers, on your gloves, or I have crafted, I think, sometimes in my amulet. The other thing that you will need is a mana leech, so you can keep up with your mana, and a very slight mana regen in case your mana leech is disabled for a challenge or something. I have like 400 mana regen here. With like 200 you will be absolutely fine. You don't need more than that, and that's it. As you can see, because of the nature of how the defense work and how the offense work, if you have for the bare minimum one of this ring and this belt, and I would recommend for the third one is this shoulder. If you have these 3 items, you can already play this build just fine. For fourth I will get the helmet, and then I will slowly like get the cape, get the other ring, get the boots, get all these things eventually on your gear. and use it. And then what the actual build does is use arrow shape to fork into many arrows, and that will cover the entire screen. So because I don't have to invest anything into DPS except for crit and ancestral strikes, I can focus all my attention for pierce chance, for bouncing chance, and for fork. So this is why I say that you will need like at least blue stats that you can comfortably modify, because for an ideal setup, you will need pierce chance to be around 100. Well, it doesn't have to be 100%. If it's just 50%, you can play the game just fine. The fork chance you don't need at all in the beginning, and if you are on a budget gear, you don't need actually pierce and fork chance. I will show you a different version which is less DPS but is way more budget friendly. And the only thing that I would recommend you get is the rebound chance, because if we go here, but even the rebound chance is not needed. So all this on your gear is something that you can get easily to this point where you have these numbers. This isn't a hard to reach thing. You don't need super sets for it. As you can see, I literally is just crafted on the magic stats here, and it's enough. So I have like a few on the epic stats places because I started to build it, build attack speed and cooldown reduction and movement speed everywhere where I can, because I don't care about my damage. It's irrelevant for me. I care about my movement speed and my attack speed to move faster, and that's it. I'm building down my damage because it's an irrelevant thing. What you would like to focus on in the first stages on your stat is your critical strike and your ancestral strike. As you can see, around 50%, if you have both, the game will be comfortable, but you can get these a lot higher. And these are the first stats that you should be focusing on, and you should modify the build to look a bit different. So in the beginning, when you have no currency, you will forfeit your fork powers and instead use, you don't need this actually, this doesn't do anything. You will use the so many arrows. Even if you don't have the sharders, you will still have extra arrows to fire this way. You will have 50% rebound chance, so you only need to get 50%, which is like 2 magic stats, and you're done with your rebound. And you need the 100% pierce. If you do it this way, then as you can see, it's still a lot of arrows, but it won't fork into a billion more arrows, because the expensive setup, which is what I have, what it does is use fork, and whenever you fork, it will fork into 5 arrows, and each of them will have 10% chance to fork again into 5 arrows. So on average, one of your shots that fires, for me, if I remember correctly, 6 arrows, and then each of them will fork once to 5, so that's like 30 arrows, 35 arrows already going around, and each of those 30 have like 10, like 3 of them will fire into 5 other arrows. So just one shot of yours will potentially be like 50 arrows bouncing around, And because they have 100% rebound chance and 100% pierce, they are never disappearing until the end of the duration. Which is why your prime stat at the good gear level will be arrow speed, because it makes it that your arrows are faster so they can bounce more and do more damage this way. By the way, I use Immortal Arrow as your second, but you can level up all these things that you want. You will never use this isn't needed. The only thing that it's good for is sometimes there are so many enemies if you are doing insane things that it's good to have the debuff from this as a visual clarity of where some enemies are that you want to focus on because they have more HP. That's it. But this isn't needed at all. So now that the gear is over, by the way, this is a good thing to have as a rune, but you should never build your builds around these runes. They are expensive to level up, and they are at best up half the time. I just don't focus on them at all. They are not really any interest to do anything with them. They are not needed. Okay, so now that you have this, what you also need is to set up your passives correctly. And you can start this build when you finish your, I would say, your 6th ancestral something. You can already start this, but even maybe before, because the first thing you will need is to go through here and get your ancestral strikes have 100% chance to create a shield globe. Because we fire so many arrows and it hits the enemy so many times, this will just flood the entire screen with shield globes that you pick up, and it will generate you a lot of shield. And this just gives you more shield because you fire your primary arrow, so this is already good. What makes the build really comfortable though is these two, because the game has one annoying mechanic, which is proximity shields. Some caster mobs have proximity shields that doesn't allow you to DPS them until those are down, so you need to run into the mob to actually do damage. But this actually goes around this issue because you will silence those mobs, and if they are silenced, then the proximity shield disappears and you can shoot them from range. So even these annoying mobs are no longer an issue for you. But as you can see, if you have like this, your build is already set up. This is the core of your build. These things are a luxury that you will get by default. And when you complete your challenge, that is here, you will do this challenge, the Adam Nostrus challenge. Then you will get your final stone that you can put separately, and you should put it here. Again, because we don't care about the damage, this is just another way to increase our shield and the damage all at once. We no longer need to pick up these shield globes. You don't need to run anywhere. You will get 25% of them, their value, without doing anything. This just makes life a bit easier, but this isn't, again, needed for it to work. So I hope that this guide was helpful for you to get a broken build online. As you can see, even if all of your gear, so even if all of your gear is blue, then you can do it. If you farm out this ring as an epic ring and this belt as and these two legendaries, it's expensive it costs a lot of gold to craft epic stats on it in the beginning, but you don't need them. You only need to get blue ones and that's it. All the rest you can get random things and you can modify those stats there to eventually fit your needs. As for the character, let's go also, this is the important, I won't go through this because this is irrelevant. I'm just playing around with these to see what they can do, but the second is not, the second ability is not needed for your build. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do meaningful damage. It cannot contribute anything really to your build. It would be just annoying to use, to be honest. So for your passives, you can play this build with whatever you want, but I think the most efficient one is the sharpshooter. You can get a lot of movement speed from this in the beginning when you don't have a lot. And this isn't, again, this is extra DPS. We don't need DPS, so we don't use it. This is extra DPS, but we don't have anything else, so we will use it. This, I have it just in case if there is so many things that doesn't allow you to get mana, then you can use your second ability and your first and your dodge in quick succession to get to a tormented level. And if you are tormented, then everything will be free, which this never happened that I needed it. I have it just in case that something happened that makes my mana problem so bad that I actually need to stay tormented to have free casting. This is a meaningless stat, we don't use it. And then we have 10% crit chance with critical strike chance, which is good. 40% projectile speed, which is really good. And this in the beginning, you can use it to damage elites if you don't have the DPS yet, but for us, what we need is this. This makes it that all these mechanics that some boss try to throw around, like firing projectiles at you, you need to dodge this way, you need to run around, everything that is not a laser, you can pretty much deflect with this, and you don't need to do all these annoying things. And your critical chance is lucky. This is obviously very good for us because this will make it that we have like 75% crit chance instead, or 80% instead of what we currently have. Okay, that almost covers everything, except, yeah, one more that I didn't go through, but it's not needed. This stat is actually, if you are using something that isn't this broken build, this setup is still good pretty much for every build, whatever Reaper you try to level, even if you don't have this Reaper. Because I originally didn't use this Reaper, I used other Reapers to do other things, and my build was slightly different, but not that much. And for example, this Nimble Warrior is very good also to do DPS with. And I used it before I went to this Primordial Bow of the Rising Sun, which is what you want to use. Before I went to that, I used that one. And before that one, I used other bows where I tried that because I needed the defense from them. So even if you have another bow that doesn't give you the stats that I just mentioned before, this setup is very strong to get you enough light globes to have enough light shield to have a very good defense. And then all you need to do is focus on offense, but even that is helped a lot because this gives you increased damage 15% for each debuff enemy has. And since you apply like 8 or 9 different debuffs on them, this means like almost a 150% increase, so like a 2.5 times multiplier on your damage, which is obviously very, very strong. Okay, that I think covers the build. Just in case you want to see it again, that what this build can do and how immortal this is, let's show a full map again. I usually, when I'm chilling out, I don't even look at my screen of what's happening. I'm looking at the minimap to get to the portals, and that's it, because I don't need to focus on the enemies or dodge any mechanics. It doesn't matter what else happening, I just need to get to the next portal and I don't have to worry about anything else. I just hold down left click and move. Again, if you want to move faster, then you can use your salvo, your tumble, to gain movement speed and to go through these obstacles that you will have in these rooms. I usually just go there and just tumble over them, and then I don't need to worry about them as well. I will slow down a bit so you can see that you are in no danger really from anything. As you can see, even if I'm not attacking, nothing really happening. And if I start to attacking, then again, you survived. It was a close call, congratulations. Again, even if they are hitting me because of the way it works, if I manage to attack once in like every 10 seconds, you will survive because of the way the defenses work for this build. So like you see that compared to the 300,000, this mere 50,000 seems really low, but actually it's always more than what you need, and even if they hit you when you only have like 10,000, the damage will be at best 3,000, so it doesn't matter. As you can see, the only problem that you will have with not having big enough shield is that your damage will be in the first 2 seconds lower than it used to be. But then you start doing damage and now it's back to the maximum again. Okay, I think this is good enough for a demonstration. So I hope this was helpful for you if you want to get a build. I really like this game because for me, I really like to make builds and put these things together to make very interesting things. And because this has so many reapers that you can choose from and build around, why I like this build is because it will give me the money and the resources that I need to play around with all the other builds that I want to try out. Because if I just want to farm something for something, just to see, I never have any nether. I didn't have any nether equipment. It never dropped for me so far. I cleared the normal nether, and now I'm clearing this extra nether that is even higher chance to get pure stats on your gear and nether armor and whatever's. But for this to happen, you need to do a lot more battlefields to get your influence higher, so that you will have a higher chance to drop. And you also need to do a lot more temples, so you will have your pure stats at the maximum level. And as you can see, since this doesn't need that much farm, I didn't farm at all with this. I just did what I wanted, and that's it. Okay, I hope this was helpful for you. Bye, take care.